An all-ages, family-friendly drag show. We hear about these all the time here in the state of Texas and beyond, but this time, an all-ages, family-friendly drag show in a church. Sounds like a joke, right? Well, it's not, and I've got the proof. You're not going to want to miss this one. Welcome back to Come and Take It. Over the weekend, I had the displeasure of attending Undercover, a pretty disgusting event. And I say this knowing that there are a lot of these LGBT family-friendly events because, again, I'm not like... We all have freedom of association. You guys can gather and do, really honestly, whatever you'd like, as long as there are not young children around and you guys are consenting adults. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just the family-friendly, all ages aspect that starts me thinking, should ya? Should ya, though? And this one was not, there was not like an overwhelming amount of skin shown or anything like that. It was just the fact that all of this was held on church grounds. So this was the Carrollton Pride 2025 Festival. Those of you who are outside the area, this is outside of Dallas. So the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex in Carrollton, and it was put on by the Carrollton Pride group. It was, here's the flyer for it. It says, join the celebration, glitter, music, and food trucks, chalk artists of all ages welcome, 50 plus artists, nonprofits, and retailers with booths. And so this whole thing was marketed to all ages. They had, all of these, events lined up for the day, but one of them was drag bingo. And because it was all ages and it was a drag show and it was a church, I thought, well, let me just pop in and see what's going on here. And it just something about all of this stuff being on church grounds, just, I never get used to it. I've done it before. We've done these exposés before with some of these other churches here around the area that are also, LGBT welcoming. I would argue that that is the entire reason for the church. It's not just that they're inclusive and they welcome this particular group. It's just that it is all about that particular group. And this is really what it felt like to me here as well. So you had all these booths, all the rainbow flags, all the stickers, all of the, rainbow merch that you could imagine. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence were there, which, in my opinion, the national organization, Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, have had, just a few run-ins with the law when it comes to gross things with kids. Probably wouldn't be my first choice. If I was having kids around, if I was making this a family-friendly event, probably would not be my first choice to bring the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. But there they were in all their glory. Disgusting! And so when I went there, and by the way, I was not able to get the entire drag bingo event, but there was this one moment that I got, and it's sticking with me. I'm like overwhelmingly sad about it. And I want to show that to you guys. And then I want to get into some of the other items that I picked up from this church. And I want to ask you, as we walk through my experience over the weekend at this Pride event, I want to ask you, does this sound like a church to you? Okay, so I'm going to play this video for you during this drag bingo event. And you see over on the left-hand side, these two boys sitting in the audience. And what you notice immediately is that they cannot even stomach looking at the bearded drag queen that was performing all over the place, right there. So everyone's clapping around these kids and they're totally tuned out and they look like they're dying inside. I mean, the smaller one, he's, those of you who are listening on audio podcast, I'm trying to describe it as best I can there. The younger one is like fidgeting with his paper wristband that he's holding. He keeps trying to avert his eyes. He's looking nervously around at certain points that I saw. I don't know if it's because I have two boys, but this really, really broke my heart. It's a really sobering reminder that these kids, they're not asking for any of this. They're not asking to be involved in this sex cult. They're not asking to go watch bearded men dress up as women and prance around in inappropriate costumes. Like, they're not asking for any of this. And, these kids, they want to play with their friends down the street and ride bikes and probably play video games. They don't want to be at a Pride Festival drag bingo show with their parents. And it just I can't get over how just unbelievably sad it is for these kids that they are being indoctrinated and forced into having to stomach this before they are even ready to process it. Clearly, you can see it all over the two boys' faces. Okay? They don't want to be there. They would rather be anywhere but. And yet, their parents, I'm sure, made them go. So I would ask, as we navigate through the rest of all of this, that you guys keep those boys specifically in your prayers tonight. I have been, and I would ask you to do that as well. This shouldn't happen in the state of Texas. This should not happen in the state of Texas. I know that Dan Patrick had a bill to ban drag storytime hour, and that, of course, related to the taxpayer-funded events. But this is a church. This is let me try that again. This is a church. Got to pull out the air quotes for that one. That's what they call themselves. This is a church operating under a tax-exempt status, because they claim that they are a church. And not only did they welcome children to this craziness, this confusion for them, that clearly there were at least some children that were uncomfortable and didn't want to be there. Not only did they do that, I want to go through these papers that can be found on their bulletin board. And I want to ask you, does this sound like a church to you? Okay. First one. How U.S. citizens can protect the immigrant community from the deportation force. Now more than ever, it is important for U.S. citizen allies of immigrants to support the immigrant community by taking real actions if they witness a raid by Trump's deportation force. But what can you do? Here are some ways you can support. Now, you notice right away that they don't say illegals, they just say immigrants, as if President Trump is going off and rounding up legal immigrants who are, here with no problems, came the right way, have established documentation, haven't done anything wrong, have a clean record, and President Trump is just like, you're out of here. That's obviously not happening. But just notice the language that they use in this, because that always is important, and the left is so good at weaponizing language to just manipulate the situation. So they start asking, or they start telling people how they can support immigrants from the deportation force. And it's like, hey, you should put yourself in between ICE agents and undocumented individuals if ICE is asking for ID on a train or a bus or other space. Ask for a warrant. If you see someone being detained, ask, why is the person being detained? And then it says, identify folks who would be interested in risking arrest to support stopping the raid. Hold on a second. What I'm reading is that they are saying you should find people willing to break the law and to obstruct a law enforcement official from doing their jobs.
Wow. It's crazy.
That's what I'm reading here. You tell me if you think different. Okay? So it's just like, be prepared to launch a call in action and to call and demand that ICE field office releases folks who were detained. I mean, they are like prepping their congregation to push back on federal law, to push back on federal agents who are literally just following the law and doing their jobs. That's crazy. This is a tax-exempt church. This is what they have out on their bulletin board. You know what else they have? Here we go. Care and treatment for HIV, hepatitis C, and other sexually transmitted diseases. This is in a open space for everyone who goes there. Young, old, and in between. Everyone gets to see. So at what age can your child read? 5, 6? At what age is your child going to read? What is HIV, mommy? What is a sexually transmitted disease, mommy? What is that? Can you tell me more about it? What is PrEP? Pre-exposure prophylaxis. That's on the other side. Right there on their bulletin board. All right, here's another one. Intersex 101. Everything you need to know. See, here's the thing. For me, I needed to know nothing about this, and I especially needed to know nothing about it from a church, yet here we are. Here we are. And so they want you to know that intersex people might choose different pronouns. They might choose pronouns like Z or Zer. Okay? And being intersex is not the same as being transgender. They would like for you to know. And there are many ways to be an ally. I'm not going to go through every single one of these because they're absolutely ridiculous and I can't stand these people. But that's what they have for everyone to grab at this church. We're not done, okay? They've also got, let's celebrate non-binary parents. Oh, yay. Let's celebrate parents who are confusing their children and indoctrinating them into a lifestyle that's going to make them more prone, more likely to depression and suicidal ideation and anxiety and being on, mind-altering medications that are prescribed to them because they're really, really torn up and confused inside because mommy and daddy don't know what gender they are, even though it's very perfectly clear there are only 2 to choose from. Yay, let's celebrate that. I want to vomit.
I want to feel sick.
I want to vomit when I look at all of this stuff and I think about the amount of people and the amount of children that this is just being foisted on. It says, as parents, we can all learn from each other, no matter our gender identity. Each year, the third Sunday in April marks Non-Binary Parents' Day. Did you know that was a thing until literally just now? We're all learning something new today on Come and Take It. Each year, the third Sunday in April marks Non-Binary Parents' Day. That is, did you ever think, even 10 years ago, did you ever think that we would be here? Did you ever think that we would be talking about a church sponsoring a pride festival that had a drag event for children and is trying to indoctrinate people into thinking that, let's make as many non-binary parents as possible. Let's celebrate non-binary parents. Challenging the gender binary helps everyone break free from gender roles that can limit our ability to be our full selves, especially in how we show up as parents. This is child abuse. I just can't think of anything else to call it. It's child abuse. Teaching your child that this is a lifestyle that is appropriate is just, I cannot think of a bigger betrayal to a child than its own parents, his or hers own parents. I'm trying not to do the weird pronoun stuff. that they do. I can't think of a young child being betrayed more than having their parents, the people who are supposed to be the ones to guide them, the two people in the entire world that they are supposed to trust the most to guide them and steer them in the right direction, to just totally betray them in this manner and tell them these things and teach them these things and model these things for them. I cannot think of a bigger betrayal than that. You get betrayed by your friends. You get betrayed by your significant others. Spouses can cheat on you. I mean, the list goes on, right? But your own parents, like your own flesh and blood, the people, the mother who grew you in her womb for 9 months and then birthed you, who nursed you or got up with you or, whatever a mom, trust me, I know what moms do, but whatever your mom did. And that's the person that ultimately betrays you and pushes you into a lifestyle that is going to make you more prone to all of these other really, really bad things. That's why I'm so passionate about it. Like it's the greatest betrayal that a young person could experience. And it's way too common, not just in this country, but in the state of Texas. People think, oh, that doesn't happen in the state of Texas. Yeah, it does. Here's another one. Being a radically welcoming congregation at Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. That's a mouthful. Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. I don't know. I just call it the Church of Satan. So this is a thing that talks about radically welcoming people. So the message is, we are people of many genders and sexualities. Gender diversity is sacred. There are a lot of words that I'm thinking in my head right now that I can't say because I'll get in trouble. Can you, like a church, this is not a church of God. This is not a church of God. A church with the message, we are people of many genders and sexualities. Gender diversity is sacred. I can't even... Dude, the world is so screwed up. I can't believe that this is happening in Texas at such great frequencies. So then they talk about how everyone feels welcome and valued and feels like they equally belong. We will use our pronouns. By the way, they did have trans-inclusive bathrooms, so tried really hard to hold it so I didn't have to use them because that was not comfortable. We offer pronoun workshops and other educational opportunities. We will have LGBTQIA+ themed worship services, and we'll celebrate all of our cultures, races, ethnicities, genders, and sexual orientations. Just what you always wanted. A church that celebrated who you like to sleep with. This is not a church of God. You tell me what you think it's a church of. Tell me in the comments. Go ahead. Let me know right now. What is this a church of? What do you think that they worship here at Horizon UU? By the way, they will they will use language that does not cause microaggressions. Environmental justice. They've got a pamphlet all about environmental justice and climate change and indigenous rights. Because you got to make sure you include the indigenous people when you are so far off of the reservation.
See what you did there?
Radical leftists. And they've got one about worship in UU congregations, but it's just really, really weird because it literally says, not all UUs share the same beliefs or opinions. Our religious tradition doesn't expect or require consensus, but our shared worship forms a vessel for us to find meaning together. This is all just baloney. This is all just garbage. Like, this is representative of the hedonistic society that these people have created. They just want what they want. They want to feel good. They want to indulge in whatever they feel like, and they want to feel like that is the right thing to do. And so if they all get together and they all are like, well, we don't want to actually follow God. We don't want to actually follow God's word, but we want to be patted on the back for not doing it. How do we do that? I don't know. We'll come up with some fake religion and make it all about liberalism and leftist ideology. And then we'll just get together and talk about all of it like we're doing something. Here's one more. A Unitarian Universalist people of color ministry. And so they have Black, Indigenous, and people of color members here as well. Connecting with BIPOC Unitarian Universalists across North America. It's just like...
News and analysis on what's happening in Texas. End your day with daily headlines from Texas Scorecard. Every day at 5 p.m., join me, Brandon Waltons, as we recap the biggest stories of the day and talk about why they matter to you. From the state capitol to town hall, there's no shortage of events happening. Keep up with it all. Watch and subscribe to Daily Headlines from Texas Scorecard.
I can't stand these people. It would be one thing for them to do this with just adults. But again, they're involving children. They have a youth program here, which is really ironic considering the fact that they brag about it on their website, that they are a reproductive justice congregation. Again, call themselves a church and outwardly support the killing of innocent children in the womb. Like, I feel like I went to the Twilight Zone. When you go to their website, they just out and out say it. Our beliefs are diverse and inclusive. We have no shared creed. Our shared covenant is expressed through the inseparable and deeply interdependent shared values of interdependence. How many times can you use that word, guys? Pluralism, justice, transformation, generosity, and equity, all centered around love.
The L word.
Yeah, leprosy.
It's just, how can we be wrong? It's all about love. It's about loving yourself and your selfish wants rather than literally anything else. This is dangerous, guys. This is really dangerous. And I don't know what can be done about it. I genuinely don't. But all I know is that what I saw was demonic. And they are allowed to pass themselves off as a church in the state of Texas with a tax-exempt status. And that's really, really scary to me. Because people... I mean, you're going to find out real quick if you enter their congregation. But people outside of that are going to have no idea. And they're going to think that that is representative of what God is about or what Christianity is about. And that's really scary. So hug your babies, go to church. Not that church. In fact, I would count out that Unitarian Universalist entire, I don't even want to call it a religion, entire organization. But if any of you have any feedback on what to do about this, maybe we see if we can, how is it possible that they have a tax-exempt status? It's just beyond me. But you guys want to have your fun and do your thing and live your selfish life, go for it. Stop involving kids. That's all I ask. Stop involving kids. Because guess what? When you stop involving kids, I don't have to show up. And I really don't want to show up. I don't want to go anymore. It's like, it really, really bums me out. But I know that People have to see what's going on in these places that are called churches. So, unfortunately, you keep having them, and I'm going to keep showing up, and I don't want to. So then I'm going to be mad about it, and I'm going to be in a bad mood, and then you guys are going to hear from me, and I'm going to be grumpy, and I'm sorry. Those two boys are sticking with me. Again, if you would say a prayer for them tonight, they're going to need it. It's really sad what's happening here in the state of Texas. And guess what? We've got more. More coming all month, the whole month of June. Oh, by the way, some in October because they decided to stretch it out. Maybe they were just tired of doing it in one of the warmest months in the state. I don't know. It's wearing me out, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Should they be allowed to call themselves a church? Should they be allowed to have tax-exempt status? Does anyone have any pointers on what could be done about this? Let me know in the comments and share this with a friend who needs to know what is happening here in Texas. You think that we're so deep red and we could never go blue and we could never even go purple? There were a lot of people at this event. Okay? So I'm going to leave it right there for you, and we will see you next time on Come and Take It.
Be sure to subscribe to Texas Scorecard on YouTube and click that bell to ensure you're a real Texan. If you liked this video and want to see more citizen-driven journalism, be sure to click like and go to TexasScorecard.com to read about all things Texas. Texas Scorecard, real news for real Texans.